wherever you are in the world. On behalf of the Embassy of Switzerland in the United States here in Washington, D.C., I want to welcome you to our June Swiss Film Club in 2023. Thank you for joining us. My name is Emily Buss, and on behalf of the Embassy, I want to thank you for joining us and for participating in this project, which was originally created to share viewership of great Swiss films and help Swiss film artists share their work in the US, and we continue to do so. We're very happy to continue to do so in a hybrid format because this has extended our audience beyond Washington, D.C., which is really important to us, and we're so glad there's still interest. So we'll continue to do this both online and in person as schedules and capacity allows. But thank you for joining us today for this discussion. For this edition, we're continuing our celebration of Pride Month with the wonderful documentary La Mia Danza, in which the film's director, Filippo, explores the origins of his passion for dance, the fear that stopped him from pursuing dance as a child, and also asks questions about identity. So I'm very glad to be joined, Filippo, today by you all the way from Zurich. Thank you so much. Just a quick introduction. Filippo Demarchi was born in Zurich and raised in Ticino in the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland. At 18, he moved to Paris to train as an assistant director. He holds a Bachelor's of Art in Film from the Cantonal School of Art in Lausanne and earned a Master's in Film specializing in screenwriting in Brussels. He has participated in a number of prestigious master classes and workshops, and since 2014, he has served on the selection committee for short films at the Castellinaria Festival in Bellinzona in Switzerland. He is the director and screenwriter of numerous short films which have been shown at festivals both in Switzerland and internationally, including Vision du Réel, the Palm Springs Film Festival, and the Sao Paulo Short Film Festival, among many, many others. So this film, La Mia Danza, premiered at the Solothurn Film Festival this year in January in Switzerland, and I'm very thrilled to share that this is the US premiere, but we hope that will extend beyond this conversation and this screening as well, and that many more audiences will get the chance to see this film. So just a quick note, we look forward to hearing from viewers as well. So if you are watching live on Crowdcast, you can click the Ask a Question button or put the question in the chat, and we'll make sure to get to as many as we can. So thank you so much, Filippo, for joining us from Switzerland today. So let's get started. I want to start at the very beginning. So you say that your father asked you why you dance, and that inspired the film. Why was film the best way for you to answer that question, both for yourself and for him?
Yes, in fact, the film was born out of the desire to be clear with myself too. And I often confuse it when I talk with my father because he scared me and I'm impressed by him. So I'm not very clear in my thoughts. And so I decided to make a film about that, why I dance. But I also wanted to make a film about dance in order to reconnect with my psychoanalyst, because I made a psychoanalyst when I was in Brussels who enabled me to start dancing. And that's why I started to make the film, in order to specify in the voiceover why I was start dancing. And it was an in-time desire also, but also in order to be clearer with myself. Yes.
Yes. And so as part of this, you have so much great archival footage and home videos of you when you were growing up. And I'm curious how much video you went through, and also, did you already have in mind the footage you were looking for to tell the story, or did what you found kind of guide the narrative of the film?
In fact, the archives, the footage arrived really at the end of the artistic process, not at the beginning. As far as the archive are concerned, they came at the far ending of the editing, and the film started about the two dancers at the beginning. I was filming Myra and Georgia, and for the long of the shooting, I was shoot Myra and Georgia, and at the end, I realized that it was not enough material for the film, and so I started to write my story. I started digitalizing the archive photo, And then also the archive videos of my father, my mother, and me as a child. And it was a real stroke for luck to have found this archive when we were already editing, because it fits very well with the editing, but it was like really at the end of the process. And the editor still received some digitalized archive footage from me when only a few weeks of editing were left. So we were in the rush, but we managed it in a way.
Wow, that's amazing. And it added so much to the film. I thought it was a really wonderful addition. You mentioned Georgia and Mayra, so I wanted to ask how you found the young dancers that were profiled in the film, and what made you decide to follow them specifically. How did the stories of those dancers relate to the story you were trying to tell?
It was really interesting because I started making the film because I wanted to make a film about a dance school at the beginning. And I want to follow a dancer who was on her own way to a dance audition. So I was looking for someone who was auditioning a school, changing a school, changing also the region, leaving her parents, moving to a big city, someone like that. So in my head was really clear what I was looking for. So I wrote an email to the professional teacher of the dance school in Ticino, the Moving Factory dance school, and she presented me several possible candidates. I met 4 or 5 of them, and then choose Mayra in Georgia because they were younger than the others. I met also some of 10, 18-year-old, but it was a little bit too much. I want to make some comparison between comparison between me and the others when I was teenagers. And Georgia looks physically like my sister, so it was perfect. It was immediately her. And Mayra was a very star dancer. I was really impressed by his technique, by his bravura. And I want to follow her until she won or took part of a dance competition, but she has an accident. At the end, I put that on the film, and she doesn't go to the competition, but she stopped the dance. But at the beginning, my dream was to follow the path until an audition or to a competition. And reality told us more. That's what I want to say about her at the end.
Mm-hmm. And also Jacopo, we see, who's sort of talks about the being the only man in the class, and you know how he deals with that at school, and that actually brings us very well to my next question, which is about the idea of masculinity that the film explores. So, for example, you say you were raised in a world where men were not to express their emotions or show fragility. You were not signed up for ballet classes as a child because it was considered something boys wouldn't do. And in the ballet world specifically, and I should add here, I have a very personal connection to this film, being a dancer myself. But I think in the ballet world, this mentality has evolved a lot over the last 2 decades. And in general, then, I'm curious how your perspective on masculinity has changed and how you see that reflected in the world around you.
It's really true what you are saying. I don't know how my masculinity perception has changed during the years. Maybe I become a little bit more feminine in my way of thinking, or to approach friends, or to approach my parents. Let me allow to cry, or to not hide my sentiments. I really like to be this way. Even when I was younger, I hang out with girlfriend and I was not allowed to myself in order to accept my homosexuality. So it was a little bit different in order to accept my masculinity or femininity. But in order to speak about dancing, the world of ballet is increasingly open to men, so including male amateurs. So that's also why I was able to start dancing at a certain moment. And I'm thinking in particular of Olivier Dubois in France, of Jérôme Bell, who work a lot with men in contemporary dance and with non-professional dancers. So they really helped me to believe in the possibility of men on the stage in the dance theaters and the stage dance school.
Yeah. And now you said there are so many more possibilities, not just for men, but for adult dancers as well, people starting later in their life, and also people who have trained very seriously to be able to keep it in their lives, even if they're not a professional dancer. So speaking from personal experience as a dancer, I found Mayra's story personally very heartbreaking and relatable. You mentioned she injures herself and is not able to continue with dance. And I think so many people who dance seriously have come to the point for one reason or another where they realize it can't be their profession, but they want to keep it in their lives. And it seems like you personally found that through contemporary dance, you found a nice balance. So how was the process for you? But then I also wanted to ask if you're still in touch with Giorgia, Mayra, and Jacopo, and if they are still dancing or what they are doing now.
Yes, but the process for me was not judge myself in contemporary dance in order to let the movements and the phrases exist without being perfectly technically and so on. So I just accept not to try to correspond to an image and dance image, or just to feel the movements. So it was joy. I expressed joy and happiness while I were dancing as an amateur. So I don't know if I answered to your question, but that's why my single personal process. And unfortunately, I'm just in contact with Giorgia and not really in contact with Mayra and Jacopo anymore. Giorgia, she's in Milan, she's doing well, and she's set up in a dance school, which she's very happy with. In May, we present the film in Bellinzona in a theater, in a cinema, and Giorgia came to answer to the Q&A. And it was interesting because she said that she has a love and hate relationship with dance, because she just do classical dance and she has this kind of relationship, but she preferred classical dance than contemporary dance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. I'm really glad to hear she's doing well. And yeah, I think especially for people who dance, it's very easy to understand the balance and the love-hate and being able to express yourself or not. That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
Do you think that you succeeded in answering the question of why you dance in the film?
Yes, I try to answer it in the film because I don't like to talk. I don't like words. And when you dance, you are free. You don't have to watch, to judge, and especially contemporary dance. And above all, it's not a psychological art like it could be a cinema or literature. So in dancing, bodies communicate freely, in a freely way, without judgment, and I like it a lot. That's why, and I told a little bit in the end of the film why I don't feel the looking about me, and that's why, because I feel free.
And I loved what you said about in ballet not being able to, you felt you weren't able to express your range of emotions. And we see you discovering contemporary dance that's open and allows you to be angry and all these other sentiments that you had.
Mm-hmm.
What is one thing that you hope audiences will take away from the film?
It's a very good question. Thank you a lot. I hope that the audience will be moved, certain by my story of coming out, and above all, appropriating my body in the world of dance. I wrote the film in the first person, in the voiceover, because I wanted to the audience to identify with the story of a character who first doesn't speak, who can speak because of the context, the family, the stereotypes he believes about dance, and it overcomes his fears and it manages dance. This aspect of appropriating dance and overcome this fear is close to my heart, and it also could be universal, because maybe a lot of people overcome his fear in their life, and they don't are able to speak. They don't are able also to express their desire to dance or to do also maybe other things. But sometimes maybe when we are not ashamed anymore of something, and then we are no longer ashamed because we managed to overcome it, that is could be universal. Then I really want to specify and underline these aspects that help me to allow me myself to dance, even as an amateur. But it's a nice process. It's also universal.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm sure we all have something, if not multiple things in our lives where we feel that same way. I want to step away from the specifics of the film briefly, because you're from the Italian-speaking canton of Ticino in Switzerland, as are the rest of the people we see profiled in the film. And I would love to ask you to speak personally about what you feel makes Ticino special and what the arts and cultural landscape is like in the region.
We told a little bit before about Lac in Lugano. There is some museum and some offers, cultural offers, but not so much. Finally, if you go to Zurich, to Lausanne, to Milan, or to Geneva, you have a little bit more. In Ticino, there is actually an exhibition by Philippe Demarchi, a contemporary artist in Lugano, and that I really like it, which has also some interesting museum. But otherwise, there is no much offer for the LGBT community, for instance. And you have really to change city, even if it's better and better every day. So that's my personal view of Ticino. There is a lot of mountains and a few cultural attractions. There is more banking and insurance. But yeah, some spectacle there are, but not so much, unfortunately.
Right. But I think for film, there are actually a lot of films that are coming out of Ticino from Ticinese directors.
Well, I forgot it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, but like yourself, yeah, I think that it seems like that is changing, and also people love to film their pieces there because of the beautiful landscape.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. The mountains, the lakes, the river, waterfall, a lot of things.
Yes. So everyone should visit if they haven't had the chance already.
And visit.
All right. Well, I have one last question for you. Just a reminder, if you're watching on Crowdcast, if you do have a question, you can go ahead and put it in the chat now. But Filippo, just a final question for you. What are you working on now, and what would we see from you next?
Okay. I'm currently working on 2 films, a documentary about a restaurant, just filming the waiters, how they cook and so on in Bellinzona. And another fiction movie about a gay teenager who fall in love of a Turkish seasonal worker who worked in his father's building site, and a guy against whom the young teenagers will assert his new liberating values of freedom and liberation and so on. And still writing with a Zurich producer called Samir for joint venture film production. And we are Michela Pini also joined, who is a producer from Ticino, and we got some financial, and we will entry in the production process very soon.
Right. Well, we will definitely keep our eyes out for those 2 projects. And for anyone who hasn't had a chance to watch La Mia Danza yet, it will be available through Sunday, June 25th, if you haven't watched already. And also, like I said at the beginning, I hope that this is just the beginning of this film being shared in North America and the US, and that we'll have many other screenings and discussions in the future. But on that note, Filippo, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to answer our questions. I know you said you don't like words, so we appreciate you speaking with us. Rather, maybe next time we can organize a dance performance of some sort. But thank you for sharing the film and your stories and insights and taking the time to join us from Switzerland today.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm honored to be here.
Yes. Great, and thank you all. On behalf of the Embassy of Switzerland, I want to thank you for participating in this month's film club and encourage you to stay tuned to our social media channels at Swiss Embassy USA and our newsletter for information about upcoming installments of the film club and other programs. And grazie mille, Filippo. I hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you a lot. Bye, Emily.
Thank you. Bye.